Hello, I'm Enzo, and how hard is it to beat Borderlands, the pre-sequel, as a scavenger? The rules of this run are, I can only use loot from piles, lockers, and trash bins, which means I won't be using loot from enemies or chests, and no baddie rank. For this run, I went Aurelia, since I haven't played as her in forever. All characters in this game start out with their own gear, and Aurelia starts with the best gear out of all of the Vault Hunters. To start out, Helios was exactly as I expected. There are no scavenger loot sources here, so I'm just getting through this level as quickly as possible. I figured out that you can beat Helios with just the starter weapons in my unique only run, so I'll do the exact same here. I found it funny that Flame Knuckles' fight was fire versus ice, and in the end, ice won. Elpis is where the game actually begins, and where I really start to like Aurelia's voice lines, but they get even better later on. I instinctually started looking for piles to loot, and killed a bunch of Kragans along the way, when I started to realize something. Back in my legendary only playthrough of the pre-sequel, I had horrible drop luck, and that's not just me. After remembering the horrible drop rates in this game, and thinking about all of the levels and how few lootable scavenger sources there were, I had a bad feeling about this run. Oddly enough, my first drop was a shield, which is nice for survivability, but I want a gun.
Legendaries are a girl's best friend.
I got my first gun a bit later, and it's nice to finally start the run. I start making my way slowly through waves of enemies until I reached Deadlift. His fight was closer to how it normally goes for me, maybe a little bit difficult, but it wasn't too bad in the end, and I sadly didn't get anything from the lockers. The only loot I got from the rest of the level was a new Torgue pistol and an assault rifle. And of course, my first death isn't to a difficult enemy, but terrible map design.
You just got a ticket.
No, you misunderstood me. As a member of the bourgeoisie, I speak many languages.
She is a member of the what? They exist in the Borderlands universe? Anyways, something interesting happened here. I got 3 blue SMGs, and it appears that's where all my luck went for this run. Okay, there's something up here.
Well, he's asked me to shut down a jamming I'm so sorry, your breasts are just wonderful. I can't keep a straight face.
After getting a super clutch second wind, I found a shotgun in one of the few piles in this map, and I find it very fitting that I die at least once to a cryo barrel in this run. A 4th blue SMG. That's it. That's the highest rarity of gear I found in this run. It is literally all downhill from here. That's the best way to describe the rest of this run. As you can probably tell, my main issue is how rare new gear is to find, which forces me to use the same gear well past its prime. So you can guess how the combat is going. Slow and annoying, but not impossible. Red Belly were oddly easy considering my gear. And I think the funniest part is that I got both of their dedicated drops in a run where I can't use either of them. Destroying the relays up here is always super annoying, but this was the worst time I've had with them so far. Not having an Oz kit isn't a major issue, but the turrets and fighter jets are. It's actually crazy that I managed to beat this area without dying. After that, I finally got my first Oz kit, which means I can finally double jump. I also found a baddie Rathid, which I can't remember seeing before, and I especially didn't expect it to have a laser attack, but that's pretty cool. Just like the Lusco in Borderlands 2, I think that the Excalibur gun fits within the rules of this run, but I didn't want to use it because it's so powerful. The game also teases me with my favorite grenade with a 0 fuse time. After that, I got a new shield and assault rifle, but then I died to a fighter jet. Also a new shotgun and Oz kit. If you couldn't tell, combat is still difficult and slow. but I got an awesome Space Stinky. The last weapon I have in my arsenal is, of course, the Butt Slam. Its damage is good for now, but the Oz kit I just got is the last one I got in this entire run, so the damage is definitely going to fall off later. But it's better than nothing, and the knockback is still very useful. There are still a few lootable containers, but the only thing I found in Pity's Fall was the shield. The bosun fight was oddly easy considering the trouble I had with him in the past. I think the combo of this amazing Torgue pistol and my action skill does a ton of damage, and the main reason this fight was relatively easy. I don't remember when I got this new shield, but it's only a small upgrade, and as you can see, the combat is still the same as before. It pretty much never changes, it just gets slower throughout the rest of the run. Despite the fact there are a ton of lockers here, I only got this corrosive pistol, which was actually super useful for this level. There was nothing else of interest here, so on to Felicity. This was the most difficult fight in this run, and where you can really see how bad this run is going. The main issue is obviously my damage. My survivability is also an issue, but there's not much I can do about that due to Aurelia's skill and playing single player. But her skills are the other issue. I went for her green tree because I wanted to use snipers, but guess how many snipers I found in this run? None. That's right, 0. I built a skill tree that was almost useless to me. Awesome. I got super close to dying a few times, but I somehow managed to beat the fight first time. Once I got to Helios, these issues really hit me, and after one death, I headed back to Concordia and respect my skill points. I didn't want to do this, but after getting only one pistol from Concordia, I have no other choice. There's just so few scavenger loot sources at this point. From now on, my action skill outdamages my guns, which is very unfortunate. On the bright side though, her action skill is super cool, no pun intended, and powerful.
A shop full of claptraps. So, hell's lowest tier, then.
My guns aren't useless though, as cryo-freezing enemies makes hitting critical hits way easier. The best news is that Helios has the best scavenger area in the game, that being research and development, specifically the areas with stalkers and their piles. I got a ton of new gear from this level, including my first grenade mod and first class mod. Even though this is the pre-sequel, it appears that I'm not safe from fire barrels. After I reached level 19, I immediately equipped my new gear.
Exactly how you feel. I dropped my keys once, had to purchase a whole new house.
The game also gives me another grenade, but I really need the healing from the transfusion grenade. I may not have a cryo gun, but I have a cryo skill. The veins of Helios were annoying, as usual, and it was even worse because I couldn't really deal with the jet fighters, so they just harassed me the whole time. When I got to Lunar Launching Station, I noticed a minor issue. I appear to be critically underleveled. I'm about to level up soon, but still. My gear being underleveled is bad, but man, being underleveled myself makes the situation even worse. One of these runs, I'll capture myself hitting all 3 perfectly. I've done it once before, I can do it again. Besides that though, there isn't too much that's different. There are a few lockers in this level, but yeah, I never got anything good out of them. I really hate when I get oxygen canisters in an oxygen environment. I know it's because I double jumped recently, but still, come on game, we should know that we're indoors. Before I fight Zarpedon, however, I'm definitely gonna need new gear, so I have to come back to the stalker area. I mean, I have no other choice. I also kind of lied earlier and completely forgot I had a sniper, but I've already changed my skill tree and I really don't want to change it back just for one gun because I'm going to do a whole lot less damage. The middle tree is just so good. Considering how Zarpedon's fight went, I don't think I could have stood a chance against her with my old gear. You see, this fight is super difficult in a normal run, and having gear this bad and being slightly underleveled definitely doesn't make it easy. And I'd normally say I don't know what made this fight so difficult this time, but I kind of do. I mean, it's obviously my gear. And the fact that the last few runs I played Claptrap and Athena, and they're both super good vault hunters. I don't think Aurelia is that powerful compared to everyone else, especially considering her right tree is completely useless unless you have another player. Let's just say there were a few deaths involved in this fight, so I'll show the two best parts. I can't use anything from her fight anyways, but I got the bulwark, which I found pretty funny. This is the most bizarre part of the run. This meteorite landed and dropped 2 rocket launchers and this echo. I've never seen any of this before. I don't know what it is. I'm guessing it's just a random event, but yeah, in all of my time I played this, I've never seen this before. So I'm gonna consider it a scavenger loot source because I kind of need that rocket launcher and its pure damage potential because it kind of helped me beat the game. So yeah, I'll say it's a scavenger loot source. I mean, it came from the sky, so why not? Combat is the same as it has been this whole time. And in Virago Solitude, I kid you not, I checked the entire map and there are practically no loot sources. There are a few lockers near where one of the vault symbols is, but that's about it. There's like nothing else out here, making this run even worse. And it's truly a shame. I had higher hopes for this run, but I didn't really think about it before I started this run, so I shouldn't really be disappointed, but I am. As you can see, this rocket launcher is essential for deleting these Eternals, because once they ascend, they become infinitely more difficult to deal with. Long story short, this fight was insanely difficult, and my last death was to this fight. I didn't get very far, which is probably a good thing or I would have been super mad. But anyways, my main source of damage is my rocket launcher, and I've managed to get really good at aiming this thing against, well, flying targets. But the main issue wasn't really the fighter jet, but all the minions he spawns. And that's because my damage is still horrible. I was super lucky to manage to kill one of them before they got me. But yeah, I relied mostly on my rocket launcher. My action skill can't touch the fighter jet, but it's really good for taking out all of the enemies that spawn. Besides the enemies, the other biggest threat was all of the nukes that the fighter jet launches, because they hit most of the arena, so I need to hide when I see that he's going to launch them. Besides that though, this fight was another slow, difficult fight. Slow, difficult fight is the best way to describe this entire run. And the Eternals definitely make things way worse. Being able to freeze them makes them way easier to kill, but still, some of them manage to ascend and become even more annoying to deal with. I also, as I always do now, did the Mario secret, both because it's fun and I really needed the XP so I could get to level 25 and get my Keystone skill. This lets me deal additional cryo damage for a little bit after I killed an enemy, which is insanely useful considering how many cryo related abilities I have. After looting Concordia for the last time, all I got was a shotgun, but this shotgun is very powerful, so it was a great find. But after all of that, I am making my way to the final boss of the game. As usual, combat was slow and difficult. This shotgun definitely helped out a bunch, though. And finally, the Sentinel fight, which was oddly easy. Well, at least the second phase of the Sentinel fight. This first one was a little bit annoying, but nothing I couldn't handle. And somehow I managed to beat this fight on my first try as well. But man, there were some close calls in this fight. The weird thing about this fight is that the first phase was more difficult than the second phase for some reason. Well, actually no, I kind of know the reason. Her mask was super easy to hit and break because my awesome shotgun. I was saving my best weapons for the second phase, and that's why the first phase took so long, because I was using my worst weapons. By the end of the run though, I would do the Claptastic Voyage DLC, but I didn't want to do that this time. I don't think there are a ton of scavenger sources, although I think Firestone would be decent. Maybe Overlook, but those would be way later on. It would take forever to get to either of those. I'm also underleveled as is, so leveling up would be super annoying to do as well. Having to do it also lets me make the video a bit quicker than usual. Though this run was, well, not as fun as the other ones. It was really just annoying and so slow to get through all of the combat. It's interesting to see just how horrible the drop rates are in this game though. For the Legendary only run, I knew they were bad, but man, I didn't think they were this bad. Definitely don't recommend trying this challenge in this game. Borderlands 1 and 2 are infinitely better to play as a scavenger. That's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching, I always appreciate it, and especially thank you to my supporters. This is going to be Enzo from LookIntoGaming, signing out.